And we're back. Tyler's going to take us through another preview for the MLB. I think we got the NL West or East.
East. I thought you said West.
Take us away.
Yeah, no.
That was not scripted at all.
Yeah, not at all. The National League East. So we're shifting over to the National League side of things here. So let's get right into it. We're going to start off with the reigning NL East champions, the Atlanta Braves. In 2020, they won the East Division with a 35-25 record and lost in 7 games in the NLCS to the eventual World Series champion Los Angeles Dodgers. In the offseason, they re-signed Marcell Ozuna. They signed starting pitcher Charlie Morton and starting pitcher Drew Smyly. Their projected rotation will be as follows: Max Fried, Charlie Morton, Mike Soroka, who's coming back from an Achilles injury, Ian Anderson, and Drew Smyly. Their projected lineup: catcher Travis d'Arnaud, first baseman the NL MVP Freddie Freeman, second baseman Ozzie Albies, shortstop Dansby Swanson, third baseman Austin Riley. Outfielders are Ronald Acuna Jr., Marcell Ozuna, and Christian Pache. The bad with this team, questions in the bullpen. Will Smith will now be their closer. It looks like Mark Melanson will leave with free agency. And then production from guys like Chris Martin, AJ Minter, and Tyler Matzik. These are guys that, have had some success recently. We'll see if they can, continue that. But kind of the depth of that bullpen is a little bit of a concern. The good, they brought back pretty much the exact same lineup as last season. So they pretty much got the same core group of guys in that lineup, 1 through 8 there. And they added starting pitching depth, which is going to be huge for them. They added Charlie Morton and they added Drew Smyly. So I think this team, starting pitching wise, is better than they were last year. So James, I wanted to ask you about these Atlanta Braves. One thing that surprised me is a lot of computer projections don't have this Braves team even making the postseason, which to me is a surprise. But I want to ask you, do you agree or disagree with those projections, and why?
I absolutely disagree with those projections. Like how does a computer think that this Braves team that is pretty much just as good as it was last year doesn't make it to the playoffs? It's just relying on analytics too much once again, and that's going to be the detriment, just like the Tampa Bay Rays. I think they're going to finish first in the division. And the fact of the matter is, Freddie Freeman came into the season and wasn't 100%. The dude was still feeling coronavirus and was still suffering from that and struggling to breathe. And he still ended up being the MVP. Because the thing about him might be even better this year. And that supporting cast is just as good as last year. They did add a lot of starting pitching. And you said that their one kind of downfall was their closer position or their bullpen. But with an offense that is as good as they are and the starting pitching that is as good as it already is, by the time they reach like innings 7, 8, 9, they should have like a 5-run lead. So should the closers really be that important at that point? I think closers are more important for the teams that are just neck and neck and struggling. And the fact of the matter is, last year it was a COVID season, so pretty much everybody was, hanging out with their team and just their team. That builds a lot of continuity and character within the team itself and a lot of good chemistry. Because this team is pretty much the same team as last year, they're that much closer. And you see it with positive team chemistry, and when teams trust each other and know each other, they perform better. And that's exactly what I think the Braves are going to do. Like I said at the beginning, I think the Braves are going to be first in the division.
I agree 100%. My jaw dropped when I saw those computer projections. I mean, they had them finishing 4th in the division, which is absolutely ridiculous.
That's messed up.
I don't know what's going on with that. But again, it is a computer, and it's not, human beings making these projections. And most, human projections have this Braves team winning the division or making the playoffs for sure. I agree with you. I mean, this Braves team, I think they're better than they were last year. I mean, yeah, that bullpen is a little bit of a concern. I think that may or may not be their downfall in the postseason, but this team is going to be great. I mean, they're going to be one of the best teams in the National League. So I don't see any reason why they won't make the playoffs again this year. Moving on to surprise second place finishers in 2020, the Miami Marlins. They finished second with a 31-29 record. And they even won a playoff series. Eventually they lost in the NLDS to the Atlanta Braves. In the offseason, they hired the first female general manager in baseball history, Kim Ng. They also added some bullpen help with Anthony Bass and Dylan Floro. And they also picked up Starling Marte's club option for 2021. Their projected rotation will be as follows: Sixto Sanchez, Sandy Alcantara, Pablo Lopez, Elizer Hernandez, and Trevor Rogers. Their projected lineup: catcher Jorge Alfaro, first baseman Garrett Cooper, second baseman Jazz Chisholm, shortstop Miguel Rojas, third baseman Brian Anderson, and the outfielders Corey Dickerson, Starling Marte, and Adam Duvall. The bad with this team is their overall depth is lacking, especially offensively. The good, they have the great 1, 2, 3 starting pitching. They're young, they're talented. And I think this team overall has a pretty bright future going forward. I just think right now they're still going to be in that rebuild mode. But Traden, first of all, I want to get your thoughts on the hiring of Kim Ng. Pretty significant moment in history. Yeah. And then secondly, this team was a surprise last year. Do you see them surprising again this in 2021?
Yeah, no. To tackle the first one, I think it's a huge milestone, and Kim Ng completely busted through the glass ceiling, being the first woman to be a GM in any of the 4 sports, as far as from what I know. And I think that's huge. And the important thing about that is, if you look at, this isn't just a signing to appease to appease one side of the fence. She is tenured. She knows her stuff. She's been with the Dodgers. She's been with, I can't remember where she was before, but it's 30 years of experience in this. It's about time that she was given the nod. She's tried, I believe, 5 times and just couldn't, or been interviewed 5 times, and she hasn't been able to land that job. And she's finally given the opportunity. I believe she was also a top level executive for the MLB as a whole. So she knows baseball. I mean, come on. I don't care if you're a female or male. If you have this kind of career, resume, it speaks for itself. Oh, and by the way, she's, she is the first to take that spot. So I think that's huge. And I think she's finally given an opportunity that she's deserved for a while now. And it's a huge stepping stone for women in executive roles, and Asian Americans as well. Asian American women as well. To tackle the second one, look, I think I'm not going to say that it was a fluke that they made it to the NLDS, but I think that they were gifted with a shortened season. I just think that they were one of the ones that benefited from that. I don't think that they didn't make any major offseason moves, which means that they're still committed to the rebuild. They didn't take that, oh, we made it to the NLDS, let's go for it. They're focusing on making sure that the team is growing and developing the way it should. With a full season, a full 162 games, I don't think that you're going to see any major surprises. You may actually see some value of the Marlins from Sanchez. He did have a pretty good rookie season, a great rookie season. And I think that if he keeps that up, there's going to be actual value, and there's going to be actual stepping stone saying, hey, the Marlins are actually moving in the direction that they need to be. But I don't think that they're going to surprise. There's no way they're contenders in my eye.
I agree. I think one of my favorite moments of this podcast so far is when we did the season preview for 2020. I joked and said about the short season, like, you never know what team will make it. And I was like, even the Marlins could do it, obviously joking because the Marlins were horrible, and they made the playoffs and they even won a series. So it, made me eat my words there. But yeah, I agree. I'm going to say it again, and I'm pretty confident on this one. They will not make the playoffs in 2021. It's a longer season, a longer grind.
Watch them make the playoffs again, dude.
Yeah, that would be unbelievable if they did.
It's tough. There's not an expanded. They kind of got help with the expanded playoff anyway.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
I just don't think it's going to
happen. I think it's very unrealistic. But this team, I think we're going to see them get better and better. But they're still a few years away from being serious contenders, I think. Moving on to the third place finishers, the Philadelphia Phillies. In 2020, they finished in third place with a 28-32 record. In the offseason, they hired Dave Dombrowski as their president of baseball operations. They re-signed JT Realmuto, re-signed Didi Gregorius, and signed relief pitcher Archie Bradley. Their projected rotation will be Aaron Nola, Zach Wheeler, Zach Eflin, Spencer Howard, and Vince Velasquez. Their projected lineup: catcher JT Realmuto, first baseman Rhys Hoskins, second baseman Gene Segura, shortstop Didi Gregorius, third baseman Alec Baum, outfielders Andrew McCutchen, Bryce Harper, and Roman Quinn. The bad with this team, the depth on the pitching side, both on the starting pitching and in the bullpen, is a concern. They had one of the worst bullpens in the league last year, which I think was addressed a little bit, but we'll see what happens. And there's inconsistency up and down that lineup. I think is a concern. Bryce Harper is obviously, one of the biggest stars in this league, but kind of everyone else in there, and JT Realmuto, I think is very, very good. But kind of the rest of that lineup is just, you never know what you're going to get any given day. The good is that they do have some championship level talent. I mean, Aaron Nola is one of the best starting pitchers. You got Bryce Harper is one of the best position players. JT Realmuto is an all-star every season, it seems like. They're very close to being contenders. I think they need a few more pieces to make it happen. Dave Dombrowski, I think, was a big hire for this team. He's won 2 World Series, both with the Marlins and with the Red Sox. So he knows what he's doing when he's trying to build a championship team. I think they got a lot of pieces in place here to be, contenders very soon. They might surprise this season. They might sneak up there as a wild card spot. I'm like a fringe wild card possibly, but they're going to have to prove themselves here. They got a lot of guys that need to step up. I think they're one of the teams that I think, went through this rebuild and it didn't quite work out the way they want. And so they need to have some success or, this team can blow up real soon, real quick. Moving on to the 4th place finishers in 2020, the New York Mets finished with a 26-34 record. The offseason, they got a new team owner, Steve Cohen, who's made quite a few changes. The biggest one was trading for shortstop Francisco Lindor and starting pitcher Carlos Carrasco. They also signed catcher James McCann and signed relief pitcher Trevor May. Their projected rotation will be Jacob deGrom, Carlos Carrasco, Marcus Stroman, Taijuan Walker, Joey Lucchesi, and then Noah Syndergaard will also come back at some point this season from Tommy John surgery. Projected lineup: catcher James McCann, first baseman Pete Alonso, second baseman Jeff McNeil, shortstop Francisco Lindor, third baseman J.D. Davis. Outfielders are Brandon Nimmo, Dominic Smith, and Michael Conforto. The back end of this rotation is a little bit questionable to me. Obviously, you got Jacob deGrom, who's one of the best pitchers, if not the best pitcher in baseball right now. Carlos Carrasco is a great option. Marcus Stroman's pretty solid. Taijuan Walker, Joey Lucchesi, don't know what you're going to get out of those guys, and we'll see how Syndergaard comes back from surgery. The good, very good lineup. I mean, you got Lindor to add to that great lineup. This will be one of the best lineups in the league, I believe. And as I mentioned before, they have the best starting pitcher in baseball in Jacob deGrom. This team will be very, very, very good, very competitive in 2021. A lot of people have them as odds-on favorites to win the National League East. Eric, are you all aboard the Mets wagon? And do you think that they're favorites to win this division?
Yeah, you actually took the words out of my mouth. I was going to say all aboard, join the wagon. Last year, they led the NL in batting average, ranked 2nd in on-base percentage, and now you throw in what every team needs: good pitchers. They already have deGrom. They got Syndergaard. They added Caruso. What the fuck was his name?
Carrasco.
Carrasco. But so they have what it takes on the hitting side of the ball, but they have pitchers too. It's pretty simple. You get both of those, you got a chance to win every night. We're back to that long baseball season. I think the Mets are going to be built to handle that long baseball season, and there's a good chance that they do win this division. I think it's going to come down and be a battle to the finish, but I have a feeling that they could pull it off and win this division.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see. I have a difficult time of kind of giving teams an up when I haven't really seen how they performed yet, especially when they have some new pieces and they haven't really proven in the past that they can be successful. So I'm still not going to have the Mets as my favorites to win this division, but they are going to be very, very good, and we'll see kind of how things go. Also, I think we need to start making a tally every time every one of us mispronounces a name, and whoever has like the most mispronounced names at the end of the month has to like do something funny here.
I think so far you're winning. Just so you
Probably.
know.
I can name two you've already mispronounced in this segment alone.
There you go. See, so we should start doing it. You know, just hopefully.
Also, I had no idea that Alex Caruso also played baseball. That's crazy.
Yeah. See, there you go.
He just takes his headband off, puts on a hat, plays baseball.
Yeah. All of a sudden, he's a D1 pitcher. You know.
Yeah.
Crazy.
You never know. All right, moving on to the last place finishers in 2020, the Washington Nationals. They finished with a record of 26-34. In the offseason, they signed starting pitcher John Lester, signed relief pitcher Brad Hand, signed outfielder Kyle Schwarber, and traded for first baseman Josh Bell. Their projected rotation, Max Scherzer, Steven Strasburg, Patrick Corbin, John Lester, and Joe Ross. Their projected lineup, catcher Yan Gomes, first baseman Josh Bell, second baseman Starlin Castro, shortstop Trey Turner, third baseman Carter Kieboom, outfielder Juan Soto, Kyle Schwarber, and Victor Robles. The bad for this team, the bullpen. There's not a whole lot there. That's going to be a huge area of concern for them. Their pitching, I would say, on the starting end, it's more their health / performance that's a concern. Steven Strasburg, if he's healthy, is one of the best pitchers in baseball. Scherzer had a little bit of a weird season this year. And him and Corbin, you know, are they starting to decline a little bit with their age, or, you know, how's that going to work out for them? The great lineup as usual. Juan Soto is a legit star in this league. I would say a top 5 talent. Trey Turner is also, you know, a great talent there. So they got a lot of, you know, good sticks in that lineup. And they still have a chance to compete. I think they still have a window here to compete for a championship. So I think a lot of people have kind of the Mets and the Braves, I think, is the kind of the two teams to fight for this division. But Alex, I want to ask you about this Nationals team. Do you think the Nationals belong in the conversation for NL East contenders? Why or why not?
Okay, so before I answer that Braves outfielder, his name is Christian Pache. And then the Mets starting pitcher, his name is Joey Lucchesi. That's how you say their names. Follow us on TLDR Podcast.
Boom.
Major League Baseball players. Going back to the Nats thing. They are a team it's going to be complete feast or famine based off of injuries. They could be a worst to first team. If they are completely healthy and all of their guys perform at peak level, they could win this division. If they're hurt, if that starting pitching does not go well, they could end up in the basement. They are a wild team to try to predict right now. I mean, if Max Scherzer had a lot of issues last year, I think Steven Strasburg made a start last year. Patrick Corbin was awful. But if you think about 2 years ago, that big three led them to a world championship. So if those three are healthy and if they are performing at the level that they can win this division. Do I think they're going to do that? No. Scherzer's 37. Strasburg has had a lot of injury history. Patrick Corbin has a very up and down career. I don't think the depth in their pitching, and especially the bullpen, like you mentioned, can propel them to a division victory in what I think is the toughest division in baseball this season. When you go through that lineup, though, that's a lot of good pieces. Josh Bell had an amazing year 2 years ago, and he kind of shit the bed last year. Kyle Schwarber, you know, he's never going to hit 300, but he could hit 40 bombs. Trey Turner's an all-star talent. Juan Soto will win an MVP before it's all said and done. They've got a lot of veteran leadership. John Lester, Ryan Zimmerman. Those are guys that have been through it all. I do think the Nats are going to have a much better season than they did last year. I mean, think about it. In 2019, what did they start? 19 and 30 something, and then they won the World Series. They're kind of like the Blues of a couple years ago. Same thing. The Nats are easily the toughest team to look at in this division. I think they could win it. I don't think they will.
Yeah, I have to agree with you. I do think they will be much better, but yeah, there's just a lot of question marks in this team, and it's kind of a tricky team, like you said, to kind of, you know, hone down and see what they're going to do. So we'll see what happens. But this NL East team, you know, or this NL East division is, as you mentioned, I think one of the deepest divisions in baseball, if not the most competitive. There's realistically 4 teams in this division I think have a shot at winning it. So let's go around the horn here at the end and go through everyone's predictions. I'll start off with mine. So I have the Braves winning this division. with 95 wins. The Mets will be in second with 93. Then I got the Nationals 88 wins, the Phillies 87 wins, and the Marlins at 70 wins. Trade-in, let's hear yours.
I got Mets, Braves, Nationals, Phillies, and my Marlins.
Gotcha. Eric, what do you got?
Mets, Braves, Nationals, Marlins, Phillies.
Wow. Alex.
Braves. Fuck it. Nats, Mets. I'm not sold on the Mets. Phillies, Marlins, but I think they could all be within 15 games of each other.
Yeah, give me real tight. And then James.
Braves, Mets, Nationals, Marlins, and Phillies.
Damn. So a few Phillies haters here. I like it. So that's all I got for the NL East division. I'll take a break because I'll be hosting next week, but then we'll get into the NL Central and the NL West, and then opening day will be pretty much right around the corner by that time. So we're getting into the thick of things here for baseball. So trading, that's all I got.
Love it. What do we have? 2 more divisions remaining?
Yep.
Awesome. I look forward to that. These are always good I'm learning a lot from these divisional previews. So we appreciate that, Tyler.